Alright guys, today we're going to be solving inequalities. An inequality is just like an equation, but an equation gives you a single answer when an inequality gives you multiple answers. You'll notice you'll have an inequality when you have a greater than or less than sign, or a greater than and equal to, or a less than or equal to sign. So to solve an inequality, it's just like solving an equation. I'm going to go ahead, I have this 2x minus 1 greater than 7. I want to get x by itself by adding the 1 to the other side of the inequality. That's going to cancel out just like you would with an equation, and you'll have 2x is greater, 7 plus 1 is 8. I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide both sides by 2, just like I would solving an equation. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now our answer is x is greater than 4. It's letting you know that all the answers, all the values for x must be bigger than 4 for it to be an answer. So to graph that, we're going to draw a little line. I'm going to put a 4 right there in the middle. You're going to have negative 100, positive 100. Now when graphing an inequality, you got to realize that if you have a greater than or a less than sign, you must use an open circle on that number. So in this case, we have x is greater than 4. So on the 4, I'm going to put an open circle, and it says x is greater than 4. All the answers are the numbers greater than 4, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way going forever. All the numbers bigger than 4 are answers. We represent that with this little line and an arrow. But we have an open circle on the number 4 because 4 is not one of the answers. It's just the numbers greater than 4. And that's how you solve an inequality. If you notice, it's just like solving an equation. If we look at number 2, we'll see something a little different happen here. I'm going to solve it just like I would an equation. I have a positive 12 here that I need to move away from the 5k to get k by itself. So I'm going to subtract 12 to both sides. I'll have negative 5k is greater than or equal to 60. Then I'm going to go ahead and get k by itself by dividing by negative 5. So I have k negative 12, but this time, since I divided by a negative number, the inequality sign turns around. And you might wonder why. Well, the explanation takes about 10 minutes, and I will explain it to you on Monday when I get back. But for right now, just know that if you divide or multiply by a negative number, you must turn the inequality sign around. So this is what our answer looks like. But the direction said solve and graph. So I want to graph this one just like I did on the problem on the left. So I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to put a negative 12 in the middle. And I'm going to put negative 100 to the left and positive 100 to the right. This says k is less than or equal to negative 12. If you have a less than or equal to, or a greater than or equal to, we are going to use a closed circle for our graph. The closed circle means equal to. It's included. Negative 12 is one of the answers, and all the numbers smaller than negative 12. Sometimes when we're in negative numbers, it's hard for people to know, well, which is bigger and what is smaller. Well, one thing I like to do is writing these negative 100 here and positive 100 here. And if I put the number from the answer right in the middle, it helps me know which one's smaller and which one's bigger. So this says k is less than or equal to negative 12. All the answers are less than negative 12. Well, I know negative 100 is definitely smaller than positive 100, so I know I need to go to the left because negative 100 is the smaller value. And this said k is less than or equal to negative 12. So that's the graph for our answer. Okay, for these two problems, solving an inequality just like before, just like solving an equation. I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 2. So I have 2y 2 times -1 is -2, less than or equal to 4. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 to both sides because I want to get the y by itself. So I have 2y less than or equal to 6. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I have y is less than or equal to 3. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and make a graph for our answer because directions say solve and graph each inequality. So I'm going to put the 3 in the middle. I'm going to put -100 to the left, positive 100 to the right. We have an equal to sign right here. Equal to signs get the closed circle because 3 is one of the answers. And it says y is less than or equal to 3. So I care about less than. -100 is less than 3. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my arrow to the left. For the problem on the right, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. But this time, we have ourselves a fraction. And if you have a fraction, multiply everything by the denominator. So we're going to times 7 here, and we're going to times 7 there. 7 times -2 gives me -14. Now remember, when you're multiplying the fraction part, the 7 and the 7 are going to divide out first. Nothing happens to the numerator. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the x by itself by subtracting 1 to both sides. And we have -15 is less than x. Now, that's our answer, but it's written in a way that's kind of hard to graph for a lot of people. So what I like to do, I like to turn it around. So I'm going to put my x over here. I'm going to take this symbol. You see how it looks like it's trying to eat the x? Well, when I rewrite it backwards, I got to make sure it's still trying to eat the x. And then I have my -15. I think this is easier to graph. So I'm going to make my line, and then I'm going to put -15, -100 over here, and positive 100 here. From there, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to have an open circle because it's a greater than sign. Once again, if you have a less than or greater than, open circle. And if you have a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you have a closed circle. So this is x is greater than -15. Well, I know 100 is greater than -15, so I'm going to go to the right to represent my answer. And that's how you solve inequalities.